Good morning, I'm Craig DeGrelli. It's Thursday, June 12th, 2025, and these are your unbiased updates. Troops in, governor outraged. Newsom goes back to court trying to kick the National Guard and Marines out of L.A. as anti-ICE protests flare nationwide. Plus, are the war drums beating? New moves by the Trump administration as tensions rise with Iran and a possible strike by Israel looms. And he gave us Surfin' USA and good vibrations, the death of Beach Boys legend Brian Wilson, and the surprising tribute from Paul McCartney. The stories that matter, clear and credible, from across the country to around the world. These are your unbiased updates from Straight Arrow News. We begin with breaking news from India, where an Air India flight bound for London has crashed shortly after takeoff. Here's what we know at this point. Flight AI-171 was carrying 242 people when it went down in a residential neighborhood near the Ahmedabad airport. That's in the western part of the country. Local media showed smoke rising from the crash site just minutes after the Boeing 787 Dreamliner left the runway. The plane was en route to London's Gatwick Airport, but lost signal less than a minute into the flight. There are reports that a mayday call had gone out. India's civil aviation minister says rescue crews are now on the ground and emergency support teams are rushing to the site. All flights out of Ahmedabad are suspended. More updates as we get them. Can President Trump send the National Guard and U.S. Marines into Los Angeles to help with immigration raids? That's the question before a federal court in San Francisco this morning. California Governor Gavin Newsom filed an emergency motion earlier this week to block the deployment after President Trump ordered 4,000 National Guard members and 700 Marines to Los Angeles, where protests over ICE enforcement have turned violent. The administration called the lawsuit a crass political stunt, endangering American lives. U.S. Northern Command says 2,100 Guard troops are already on the ground, with Marines expected to join them in the next 48 hours. Critics say military troops should not be used to manage civil unrest. The commander on the ground confirms troops can temporarily detain people but cannot make arrests. A curfew remained in effect overnight in Los Angeles, and similar protests continue nationwide. In Spokane, Washington, a curfew and state of emergency were declared after demonstrations outside an ICE office. A former city councilman leading the protest was detained. In New York City, police arrested several demonstrators who refused to clear a crosswalk near City Hall. And in San Antonio, despite warnings from Texas Governor Greg Abbott, hundreds marched peacefully. No arrests reported. And finally, a different kind of protest in Washington, D.C. President Trump and First Lady Melania were greeted with both boos and cheers as they took their seats at the Kennedy Center for Les Miserables. It was the first show Donald Trump has attended since naming himself chairman of the board in February after dismissing the entire trustees panel. Tensions are spiking across the Middle East this morning. The United States is now pulling non-essential personnel from embassies in Iraq, Bahrain, and Kuwait, and authorizing military families to voluntarily leave the region amid growing fears of conflict with Iran. President Trump says Americans are being moved because it could, quote, be a dangerous place as tensions increase over Iran's nuclear program and stalled talks. CBS News now reports Israel is preparing for a possible strike on Iran's nuclear sites, and U.S. officials worry Iran could retaliate against American targets in the region. Iran's defense minister issued a warning saying if talks fail, the U.S. will have to leave the region, and all American bases are within reach. Just this morning, Iran announced plans to build a new uranium enrichment facility after the UN nuclear watchdog voted to censure the country for failing to cooperate with inspectors. Meanwhile, a key Senate hearing on U.S. force posture has been abruptly postponed, and maritime agencies are warning of potential escalation in the Strait of Hormuz. All of it underscores a precarious moment in the Middle East, with diplomacy hanging in the balance and military posturing on all sides. A shakeup this morning at the CDC's top vaccine advisory panel, and it's raising eyebrows. Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has named 8 new members to the committee that recommends vaccines, just days after firing the entire group of 17 advisors. Kennedy says the new members are highly credentialed, but at least 4 have publicly questioned vaccines or COVID mandates. That includes Dr. Robert Malone, known for pushing unproven COVID treatments, and Dr. Martin Kulldorff, who co-authored the controversial Great Barrington Declaration, a document that opposed lockdowns. Critics say Kennedy's picks are political and risk undermining trust in public health. The revamped panel meets later this month with big decisions ahead, including possible updates to the HPV vaccine schedule. A federal judge has barred the Trump administration from continuing to detain Mahmoud Khalil, a Columbia University graduate student at the center of a high-profile deportation case. The judge granted Khalil's habeas corpus petition, but put his own ruling on hold until Friday morning, giving the administration time to appeal. Khalil's arrest for leading anti-Israel demonstrations at the Ivy League school sparked outrage. He's one of the first students detained in a Trump-led crackdown on anti-Semitism, targeting pro-Palestinian activists on college campuses. He's from Syria and has a green card, also known as a permanent resident card. He claims he was just a spokesman for the group, not a leader. So far, it's unclear if the administration will challenge the decision. A stunning and sad loss in the entertainment world, and honestly, it hit me yesterday at around 3 o'clock yesterday afternoon. I was like, oh no. Brian Wilson, the genius behind the Beach Boys, has died at 82. The band that defined American summer started back in 1961, and 6 decades later, their sound still echoes at beach parties and cover bands across the country. They gave us, of course, Surfin' USA, California Girls, and Fun, Fun, Fun. You know the one, the next line, Till Your Daddy Takes the T-Bird Away? Everybody knows it, right? His bandmates posted this on Instagram. Together we gave the world the American dream of optimism, joy, a sense of freedom. Music that made people feel good, made them believe in summer and endless possibilities. Boy, did it ever. They sold over 100 million records, nearly 3 dozen platinum and gold hits. Beatles legend Paul McCartney called God Only Knows on the Pet Sounds album the greatest song ever written. Wow. Wilson struggled with mental health and addiction, but his music never lost its magic. His band was a summertime must-see if they came to your town. No word yet on cause of death, but this morning we are sending good vibrations in every possible way and saying rest in peace, Brian Wilson. This morning, paleontologists have discovered a new species of dinosaur related to the Tyrannosaurus rex. Listen to this. Experts reanalyzed 2 partial skeletons found in Mongolia's Gobi Desert back in the 1970s after a University of Calgary student spotted them during a trip to Mongolia in 2023. While visiting the Central Museum of Dinosaurs of Mongolia, the student noticed features never seen in any known Tyrannosaurus species. Scientists now say the fossils belong to a brand new and relatively small tyrannosaur. It was about 13 feet long, weighed roughly 1,700 pounds, and was likely a fast, agile runner. They're calling it a missing link between earlier, smaller tyrannosaurs and the massive apex predators that we all know, like T-Rex, which could top 10,000 pounds. So how about that? And before we go, remember yesterday on Straight Arrow News when I told you there was going to be a super cool looking strawberry moon overnight? Well, voila! There it is. I took a picture from my driveway this morning at about 2:40 Central Time. It was really bright, the moon. In fact, it lit up my entire cul-de-sac here in Omaha, Nebraska. Or maybe that was just my camera phone light. Either way, it was really neat. Hope you got to see it and enjoyed it as well. All right, going to be a busy news day. Those are your unbiased updates for this Thursday. We'll see you back here tomorrow. For all of us here at Straight Arrow News, I'm Craig DeGrelli. Have a great day.